Hey guys, it's Jamie from Recovery Inspired Hope, and today we have an exclusive interview with my very good friend James Randolph Rigsby III. He has a very long name. James is got 81 days sober.
Yes, ma'am.
81 days sober. That is amazing.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit about your recovery journey. How did you make a decision to come into recovery?
Well, my recovery journey started with me having a bad schizophrenic episode, and I wound up in the hospital. And after the hospital, my girlfriend Lucy, she found a rehab center for me to go to that was dual diagnosis centered. And so I went to there, and they really helped me out. It's called Serenity Grove.
And where's Serenity Grove at?
Mitchell Bridge Road in Athens, Georgia.
Okay, so it's right here local.
Yeah.
Great. Awesome. Okay.
And once I went through a little bit of their detox center, talked to a couple of their doctors, they helped me out, and I started going to their outside programs, and it's been going well ever since.
Okay, so what was your drug of choice?
For the longest time, it was alcohol, but what caused the psychotic break was methamphetamines.
And that will cause a psychotic break. I know for me, I was in and out of mental hospitals when I was on meth too. So it can be pretty powerful stuff, you know, and then adding methamphetamine, adding on to mental illness, it doesn't do well with us.
No, not at all.
Not at all. So tell me about, tell me about one of the scariest things that happened to you while you were in your active addiction.
One of the scariest things that happened to me when I was in my active addiction was I could not tell what was real and what was not real. So I would get the dream world confused with the real world, and I wouldn't know if I had actually done them or they had actually happened to me. And I thought that people that were trying to help me were trying to hurt me. And that's the scariest thing, is not knowing whether or not you did something or did not do something.
Right. You don't know what's real and what's not real.
Right.
Wow. So you went into Serenity Grove. Now, you had been in recovery before that.
Yes, ma'am.
And so what happened there?
I tried to play this silly game where I knew everything, and once my charges from a DUI were dropped to reckless driving, I was like, I'm done with this whole recovery plan, and tried to start taking my life into my own hands again. In hindsight, I definitely wish I had stayed at the recovery center for the whole year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, sometimes it takes what it takes, right?
That is true.
So let's talk about like today. So having dual diagnosis, it kind of makes things in recovery a little bit different than other people's recovery, right?
Right.
So tell me a little bit about how you found your pathway into recovery, because I know that you're into like a lot of different things. I know that fitness is a pathway for you, and is also a pathway for me too. So I definitely can understand that.
Okay.
And so what else?
I like to do art now. I like to wood burn a lot, and having something where I can just focus on, such as school, the artwork, or just trying to better myself and get personal self-growth, that really helps. And what was really important for me is that I got on the right medication, because I was losing so much sleep, and my medication was causing so many side effects that it was leaving me in like a wonky state, I guess you would say. But once my doctors at Advantage Behavioral Health found the best combination, life has definitely improved ever since.
Wow. So yeah, you know, medication, you know, some people try to say like, oh, you know, when you get into recovery, you don't have to take medication anymore. And that's not true.
No, not at all.
And medication does not make your recovery any less perfect than anybody else's.
True.
Right. So, and I know that you are involved with some super cool classes over at Advantage.
I joined Advantage's AIR program, which is Addicts in Recovery, and I'm part of their Phase 1 program, and it's 2 hours a day Monday through Friday, and we work on a wellness recovery action plan, healthy relationships, co-occurring disorders, and chronic relapse, which is really, really beneficial.
Yeah, I mean, and it sounds like that's such a well-rounded program. You know what I mean? It's not just like your traditional 12 steps, which I know that you actually work those as well. But just having that whole person health, mind, body, spirit, and then having the fitness in with it. And tell me a little bit about your spirituality.
My spirituality is, originally I was atheist for a very long time, and then the more I got into spirituality, I became more agnostic. And I believe there's something out there. A lot of the religions, I believe, all talk about the same God. And I think there's definitely a higher intelligence watching out for me and directing my life to a better life.
Right, which is what you were talking about before, where you said you took things back into your own hands.
Right.
Yeah. So they talk about that. What's that? The third step, turning our
will and our lives over to the care of God as we understand Him to be.
As we understand Him to be. Awesome. I love that. And I love how you're so open and willing to openly share your story, because a lot of people these days, there's so much shame and stigma attached to dual diagnosis and mental health. And we can't be like that. We have to be able to speak out about it, to tell people, your recovery is not less than anybody else's if you struggle with mental illness.
Right. So I believe schizophrenia affects less than 1% of the people in the United States. And what's difficult about schizophrenia is that it's really cultural based on whether or not it's good or bad. So in the United States, almost every schizophrenic person has a negative attitude towards that diagnosis. But in other countries, in Europe, in India, in the Middle East, they look at it as, oh, this person could be a shaman, this person has a connection to a higher power, they can help us. And it's looked at as a gift instead of a curse.
Wow, that is pretty astounding.
Yeah, it's really nice.
Wow, that's awesome. And I love how you focus on the positive things, and made that search to be able to find that out. That's really cool.
Yeah, I definitely try to follow the strength way of recovery, focusing on the strengths of a person. We're focusing on the strengths of that person's personality instead of the negative connotations. And with that, they can build on, let's say they're a very highly resilient individual. They build on their resilience. Let's say this person's very hardworking, and they build on the hardworking aspect of their life.
Right.
And that's really beneficial.
Yeah, definitely. That's like the whole, the glass is half full.
Right.
And, I think they even talk about that in the AA Big Book about getting a new pair of glasses and just seeing things, right?
I think so.
Yeah, in a new perspective. That is awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing your recovery out loud with us. I know for me, when I broke my anonymity, my chains of shame and guilt were broken, and I was empowered to be able to help other people. So I definitely believe that, you speaking out is going to help so many people. So thank you so much for your honesty and transparency and your willingness to search on this adventure for something greater.
Yes, ma'am, and thank you so much for having me.
Yes. Well, everybody, we will see you next time. Make sure you subscribe to Jamie Tall on YouTube, and we'll see you later. Bye.